free mind. You crazy for this. Soulful. It's like our responsibility to make us feel something. You know, to make people feel what we feeling. Hey, yo.
Reggie here, and I want to welcome you to another one of my live streams. This is the Comics Today show, a show that we do on Wednesday to celebrate the best day of the week, that being New Comic Book Day. And what's really cool is come May 7th, I will be doing this show live from Short Boxed Live. They have a con coming up in the San Francisco area, and I'm going to be doing the show live from the con. First time ever doing the show in front of a live studio audience. And what I'm going to try to do is to recreate this energy in front of a live audience, and you will be able to tune in virtually from wherever you happen to be as well. So if you have a chance, I encourage you guys to head over to Shortbox, buy your tickets over there, and then try to tune in one way or the other to the live show on May 7th. Love the Shortbox app. Just purchased a couple of things through the app that I will be showing you guys in some upcoming videos. If you have not checked the app out, I definitely want to encourage folks to do that. But tonight, because this is a celebration of New Comic Book Day, I'm going to be going to the chat here momentarily to find out what it is that you all may have picked up at your local comic shops. And if you want to shout out your LCS, I want to know that. If you read something that was really good that we should potentially prioritize and put on the top of our reading stacks, I want to know what that book is as well. And if you happen to pick up a book that is not a new book, but a new to you book, I want to celebrate that with you. So make sure you shout that out. I will tell you, I've been reading a lot of Little Monsters as of late. My Canadian brother, Mark, told me about this a while ago. I think I read issue 1 at the time that he originally mentioned it. I've gotten away from it. I went back to revisit it, and it is pretty darn good. I love anything with the Nosferatu, and Little Monsters is definitely that. It is I can't remember the guy that did Sweet Tooth. I think he's the writer on this thing. It comes from Image, and I enjoy it. It is in the tradition of indie comics. It's black and white, and I think that it really is amazing. A lot of folks taking note of the wall that I have back up there. It is my tribute to black folks, to tribute to black folks. That's what the wall is. And yeah, there's a couple of really cool books back there that I am proud to have in my collection. I had a conversation with somebody just the other day about Lobo and how hard those books are to find, how rare those books are, because there are not a lot of them out there. And I consider myself lucky to actually own Lobo 1 and Lobo 2 and a 6 and a 7. I say that because I've received multiple messages from people asking me exactly what the grades are. So I wanted to make sure that I shout that out. All right. So as part of tonight's show, we are going to have a couple of guests on. I may break a record tonight with the number of guests that are going to be on the show. I honestly cannot remember how many max number we've had, but we are going to have several guests on that are going to come on to talk with me about some news and current events, some things that are top of mind for me and might also be top of mind for you as well. All right. I want to go to the chat real quick to see what it is you guys may have picked up. What is it? Steve White. I did manage to get to the LCS today before I picked my son up from the airport. I'm looking forward to reading 8 Billion Genies, issue number 7, and Grimm 8. I thought it was 8 Billion Genies 7 and 8. My bad. I was on a roll there. Then I saw the word Grimm. Shout out to you, Steve. It is good to see you, brother. Thank you, brother. I definitely appreciate that. Scrolling through, Trev. Shout out to Brian LCS for helping me fill my run. There you go. Wait a minute, it's a couple of runs. That's what's up. That's what. We did a trade. Oof, that is fantastic right there. I'm all about the trades right now, man. I am trying to make magics happen. I'm reading something with an S, and it came out. All right, let me scroll through. No new comics today. A new LCS should be opening any day now, less than a month. Ooh, that Todd, bro. I am confident that your wallet will not forgive you for the proximity at which you will be to that comic shop. 1 mile, that's like a second home. That is second home proximity, sir. My Canadian brother Rush Diehard, 27 books today. That's what's up. Your LCS loves you, my friend. Kevin Pitts is up in the house. How you doing? He said he picked up Icon versus Hardware. Is that Photon, and I Am Batman. Shout out to Liberty Comics in Roseville, Michigan, where my family had lived for a very, very long time. Roseville, Michigan, that's what's up. I don't think that I've been to Liberty Comics. Next time I'm in the Mitten, I might have to swing by. Roseville is near and dear to my heart. Mr. C's was my spot. Square Pizza in tinfoil. I used to go there all the time in the summer. Thanks for the flashback there, Kevin. Who is that? Mark is giving a shout out. Fantastic Four #4, Death Dealer #9. What else do we have in there? Grim 8, Pandora 2, 8 Billion Genies. People seem to really like that. I have not read it. I have not read the 8 Billion. Might have to check it out. Scrolling through, my power went out, so I've got to watch from my phone tonight. Frog, it's the same show, brother, just a smaller screen. Smaller screen, same goodness. Picked up some Tomb of Draculas to work on my run. That's what's up, Chuck. I was talking about you last night, talking about your obscure taste with somebody. And somebody mentioned a book to me. And I was like, goodness, what is that? And I was just like, that would be a Chuck book. You know what I'm saying? No, good stuff. Congrats on being able to pick those books up. Herman, how you doing, brother? It is good to see you. Big new comic book day today. Picked up 8 Billion Genies #7, Spider-Man, Fantastic Four, Hulk, House of Slaughter, and so much more. Picked up a newsstand of Static #1 for less than $50 in near mint minus. That's what's up. Congrats to you, brother. That is good stuff. There are deals to be had out there. To be had. You just have to look for them. That's what is that? But did get to the movies to see the new new. So is it as good or as bad as they say? Over the course of the day, their Rotten Tomato score, I think it was yesterday, went from 47 to like 58% as the critics started to enter their scores into the system. What did you think? What did you think of the Ant-Man movie? And I think, Primary, that is the first time that we have seen your name. So I want to welcome you officially to the live stream, brother. Thank you for taking time to to join. Scrolling through the rest of the comments here, seeing what else you guys. All right, Masters. What is this? Miscellaneous Masters of the Universe 1, Ant 6, ASM 20. I have not read Ant since maybe issue 2. I've gotten away from that. I need to revisit that. I went back and picked up some of the original Ant stuff several months ago. I think this was before Eric Larson actually purchased Ant, the IP from the original artist. But I read the Image issue, I think 1 and 2, and it was not bad. But I have not read it in quite some time. So thanks for the reminder of that. That's, again, one of the benefits. That's one of the benefits of being able to do this show on Wednesday, is that it serves as a great reminder of all the great books that are out there that are coming out new that people should check out. Because anytime I hear somebody say there are no good comics out, then my initial reaction is that you're not reading anything. Because if you take the time to read some of the stuff that's out now, you would realize that there is some good stuff out there, right? Just like in the past, there's good and bad. In the present day, there is good and bad, and you have to figure out what the good stuff is, right? And part of the reason why I do this show is to remind people that there are some good comics out there. There are people that are still actively buying, reading, collecting comics, and not just investing and speculating in them. So that's part of the reason why we do this. So that's what's up. All right. So one thing I want to get to, and we, like I said, we are going to have some guests on, but I do want to share one thing. Well, let me do this first. I picked up some books from my comic shop. My shipment arrived yesterday. So we picked up Venom issue number 16. This is a book that came in. Amazing Spider-Man issue number 19 came in, and then Moon Knight issue number 20. So I think you guys know that the Moon Knight book appeared on the CGC top 10 list. And it is a title I like to read. I'll be honest with you. I think the Moon Knight current series is not a bad one. But again, if you guys have not seen the CGC most submitted books video, I definitely want to encourage you to check it out, because if you watch this video, you have a chance to potentially win a $100 credit to anything that is on the Short Boxed app. But you have to watch the video to figure out how to get in the running for that. I definitely want to encourage you guys to check the video out. $100 is a lot of money in these current times. That is a lot of money, free money, if you will, Reggie. It is a small yet mighty haul. It is a small yet, we'll see. To Phil Tastic's point here, Alex Ross, it was announced that he is doing a signing for CGC right now. And I have a feeling potentially we will start to see some Alex Ross books flow in. Will it be enough? Will it be enough to rise to the occasion of making the list? I made a prediction the other day. I made a prediction that we were going to start to see the value of DC Comics increase. I also indicated that potentially we were going to start to see more DC books hit the top 10 list for CGC this month. In the top 20, there was only one DC book, and that was Nice House on a Lake, issue number 1. But I have a feeling in the months ahead that we potentially could see more DC books get on the list, and potentially we will see some Alex Ross books show up as well. All right. Scrolling through, I'm looking at the comments over there. I think I'm all caught up. All right. Some Blade, for the Blade fans out there, there was some good news that came out from Mr. Kevin Feige recently. The Blade movie is making progress. This movie has stalled big time for several different reasons, but appears to be getting on track right now. Marvel studio head Kevin Feige has provided the first positive update on Blade in months, revealing the movie is finally moving forward after frequent delays. The upcoming film is currently slated for a late 2024 release date, and it will introduce Mahershala Ali's Vampire Hunter into the MCU. And this movie, again, has been delayed for several different reasons, partly due to script, partly due to the director walking away. And what we are hearing, what this article kind of talks about, is potentially this movie will start filming in about 10 weeks. In about 10 weeks, Mahershala Ali will be filming. I do believe that the new director is actually down in Atlanta right now, getting ready to start filming in about 10 weeks. So this is definitely a very good sign for this movie. Part of the reason why it was delayed before is that there's all this talk about the script not being very good. The script only had like 2 fight scenes in it. That's not a Blade movie. If there's no fighting and a whole lot of death, right, and gore, this is not a Blade movie. And I think Mahershala and others probably recognize that. This article and several others that have come out recently also highlighted the fact that Marvel may be pumping its brakes. Marvel may be pumping its brakes a little bit in terms of how much content they actually release, how many movies, how many TV shows, how much space they put behind or between the different things that they release. Again, as I said on Instagram, I think it was yesterday or earlier today, I can't remember. I think that this is a good thing. This could be a sign that they are going to focus on quality and not quantity. And if you think about it, during the pandemic, a lot of people sitting at home, you dial it up. You dial up the content to get the views because people want to consume content, right? I have multiple live streams that I would release during the pandemic because everybody was at home. Why not take advantage of a captive audience? Literally a captive audience. But now that things are starting to open up, it makes sense to dial it back. Hopefully, again, they start to focus on quality. Now, with that said, I do believe that they released 3 movies in 2022. Those 3 movies, I want to say, brought in more than $2 billion, which is not bad if you consider the current economy, the fact that the box office overall is down dramatically. The fact that they brought in over $2 billion is not bad. And you would have loved to see more. In fact, I think that in 2022 was the first year that Marvel did not have a movie that broke $1 billion. And I think the Doctor Strange movie came close, but it did not happen. But again, collectively, they brought in more than $2 billion. And on any given day, that is not a bad statistic to have. All right. So let me go to the chat real quick. I was not able to survive the first Blade movie from the 90s or 2000s. Well done. Let me scroll through. Let me see what it can't be. I was told, and that's the thing, brother. It is like people saying that there are no good comics out. There's no good comics out if you don't read the comics. Then you don't believe that, right? Or you do believe that there's nothing good out because you're not looking for anything. You're not actually reading. People say that the movies are all bad. Have you been to the movies? Black Panther was dope. I don't care what anybody says. To me, Black Panther was dope. And I saw Doctor Strange. I was entertained. I wasn't blown away, but I was entertained. But this idea that everything is trash, everything is bad, do not believe the hype. That is just the narrative that people want to sell. And the question is, are you going to buy it, or are you going to use your own judgment? Use your own judgment, watch it. And if you think it's trash after you watch it, then I'll defer to your good judgment. You know what I'm saying? Let me see. I'm scrolling through. All right, cool. I think I'm all caught up. So last week, I announced that the artist for issue 3 of Isolation had donated some artwork. He had graciously donated some dope art to help us as part of our fundraising effort for Isolation issue number 3. And I will tell you that the PDF of issue number 3 is ready. It is ready. We are making some tweaks to the covers and the front cover, back cover, all inside cover, all that kind of stuff. We're making some tweaks, but my point is we are making progress and we are getting closer and closer to being able to release this file to the printer to start whatever the 4 to 6 week process is for the printer to do his stuff. But we are making lots of progress. To date, we have already raised $3,000 to contribute to Isolation issue number 3. We are well on our goal, and we still have some more time. We have until the end of this month to raise hopefully more money to offset all of the costs associated with the artwork, the production, and ultimately the printing of this book. So if you have not yet supported the project, I definitely want to encourage you guys to visit regiecollects.com. But Chase, we had Chase donate some amazing art. And because of schedules, we weren't able to get him on the show last week, but he is here today. He is here today, and I want to spend a little bit of time talking with him. Chase, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Hi.
This is what a Chase looks like, people.
What I look like, yeah.
It is good to see you, brother. So, Chase, is it Cowan or Cowan? Which one is it?
It's Chase Cowan.
Chase Cowan. There we go. I felt like that was the correct pronunciation, but I like to verify my facts before I just say it the wrong way, you know?
No, yeah, it's happened all my life. Just people saying the wrong thing. So thank you for asking. I appreciate that.
I'm the guy that spells his name with 1 G, brother. So
yeah, I do myself typing 2 G's whenever I'm trying to reach out to you or something. And then I remember that's 1 G.
The worst is when somebody's trying to sell me something and they use 2 G's, and I'm like, you're dead to me. You are automatically dead because you didn't do your research. But Chase, it is good to see you, brother. The first thing that I want to talk to you about is the script. The script that was written by my buddy Doug. I am curious, Chase, when you received the script from Doug and you had a chance to read it, what was your initial impression of the script?
My initial impression was honestly, I was just confused because that was the only information I got. So I had no idea what was going on in the previous 2 stories. So I reached out to Doug. I was like, hey, can you send me the other stuff that's happening so I can actually put a story together?
Yeah.
But my first thought was like, okay, I really loved some of the scenes that he was creating. They were really fun to draw. But he knows how to. He gets a little wordy, so we ran into some issues with dialogue and the art and spacing between everything. But no, I had a lot of fun.
Doug likes his words, brother. He is not shy when it comes to the words. And I think, go ahead. And I think your point about confusion is a valid point, right? Because when you get the script without any setup or any background, I think that leads to confusion. But you tell me, when you were able to go back through issue 1 and issue 2, did issue 3 start to make sense, right?
Yeah, it started to make a little bit more sense because, well, I think I got issue 2 before I got issue 1,
Mm.
and then I think the issue 2 that I got was I didn't at that point. I don't think it had any wording on it, but I got to see Delia's artwork, and I could sort of, start putting the story together. But things were jumping around, but I was, I started to pick it up. Yeah, I had no problem with putting the story together and figuring out where things were going and creating the artwork for issue 3.
So I'm curious, like from an artist standpoint, because I'm a word person, right? And I'm curious from like an artistic standpoint, as you were reading through that script, were you starting to get mental pictures of how you might want things to draw? Like, how does that work for you? Do you read it and noodle it, or do you start to immediately get ideas about how you could depict certain scenes? Talk with me a little bit about that.
Yeah, it's sort of like just what you just said. I first read the script just to get the understanding of what's happening, and then I'll read through it a couple more times, and just mental images will show up, and I'll first sketch them out, and I'll create a rough, and it's because I'm trying to make the writer happy. This is his vision or her vision, whoever's vision. Um, so I get their opinion on it, and if I have to, I'll draw like 16 different panels for one scene.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I try to get a mental image on not only just like the area that I'm drawing, but characters, where they're at, expressions, and emotions, what they're talking about, what's the best way to portray all these things that are happening, and we take it from there.
Yeah. How much back and forth did you have with Doug, right? In terms of like you started to draw these things out because you had a visual picture of what like he wanted from the written word. How much then back and forth did you guys have to figure out, is this the right depiction? Does this need to shift? Like how much was there?
In the beginning, there was a lot. As we moved forward, like with a little bit deeper into the issue, just in the roughs part, we found a good a nice flow of things where I was just able to draw actually like what I wanted to draw, and I'd show it to him, and he was really happy, and we just went from there. But in the beginning, there was a lot of Doug was super awesome to work with because he's open to changes and suggestions and stuff like that. So in the beginning, we talked about it, and if we thought, hey, like, because I'm trying to do, like, if there are less panels, the faster I work, we can meet the deadlines. So we were seeing panels that we kind of could smush together. So we like drop a panel, or maybe we needed to add pages or something like that. So, but in the beginning we talked a lot about that.
Yep.
But eventually we got to a point where I got into a flow, and I would just draw and with zero contact, just trust that I would send in pages, and he was very happy with the results.
Yeah. Doug is easy to work with, man. There's no doubt about that. So for those folks that came in a little bit late, we are talking with Chase, who is the lead artist on Isolation issue number 3. But to that point, Chase, we had a different artist on issue number 1 and 2, and you alluded to that a second ago. We had Delia Gunderson with Elena Morton doing assists. And talk with me a little bit about your style versus Delia's style. And I think that they're both wonderful, but they're different. So talk with me about the differences that exist between those.
Oh man, Delia's artwork for it was amazing. Like, wasn't it beautiful? I mean, she's got such a very like painterly style. Like her ink washes are amazing. I can't do that. I work with black and white, and but I have a lot more. I'd say rougher edges to my drawing. Like, she has this very sort of realism sort of style, that I really like, but I can't do that. But my style is a little bit more rougher, more has a little bit more cartoonish to it feeling. I think maybe I should be asking you, like, what kind of
This is not turn the interview around, Chase. Okay,
oh
that's not
okay. One way
no,
wait,
but I would say I think I would agree with you, right? I think
yeah,
Delia's art is just pretty. It
yeah,
is just pretty. Like everything is like crisp and perfect. You can daggone near read the book titles on the bookshelf in the background when that's
yeah,
not even the purpose of the panel, but that's what you're looking at.
right,
I think, and you tell me, I think your style lends itself to specifically issue 3 because of what is being depicted in issue 3. And we don't want to give anything away.
yeah,
But would you agree with the gritty nature of your art and what we show in issue 3?
yeah. In issue 3, just because of the scenarios and the scenes that play out in this issue, my style I think definitely lends itself to strengthen that part of the story
Yep.
because I love to play with lights and darks, and I love to play with, especially using like blacks to really show like silhouettes and stuff like that.
Yep.
So I definitely had a lot of fun with the scenes that play out in this part of the story.
I mean, just fantastic stuff. I want to throw maybe 1 or 2 of them up on screen.
Oh yeah,
I remember this one. I saw this and I was like, that's just amazing. I mean,
yeah,
it's just and Delia could do the exact same scene and it would look dramatically different because her style is so different.
very
But
much.
but it's amazing. I think that it just looks amazing. And I'm curious, Chase, again, without giving away any secrets, did you have any favorite pages or panels that you drew for this for issue 3?
Yeah, actually, the pages that come right after that scene were my favorite. They were really fun to draw. They were super exciting. But I also like the pages like that I did, the simple dialogue scenes. Just I love trying to draw dialogue scenes and making them as interesting as possible to look at.
Yeah.
That's always really fun for me to draw out, figure out, how can I make this exciting, even though they're just talking to each other.
Even though they're just doing what Doug does, which is use a whole bunch of words. What was cool is that as I took a look at some of your pages, I realized that there was a lot of like close-ups of faces. As I went through several, there were faces, but they were all, to your point, there was a lot of detail, there was a lot of emotion that was being conveyed in all of the faces. I put up something on Instagram and I kind of zoomed in on certain faces and it jumped out at me as I was doing this Instagram post just how much detail you put in faces. And I'm curious, like how much time did you spend on each one of these pages? Like give me a rough estimate as to how much time.
I try to make sure that I can get on a page a day.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess in total, like each page has close to a day's worth of work towards it.
Mm-hmm.
Probably way more, considering you got the roughs process, penciling, and then the inking, and then you got to do your touch ups. Um, but I spend a lot of time on these pages, man. And I'm real proud of them. I'm real excited for people to see them.
You should be, brother, because the work is incredible. I was really blown away, because what I do is when I get the pages, I print them off and then I put them together as a booklet and then I flip through it and I'm like, man, these are dope. And then I got the original art from you and I was like, man, this is even better in person. I mean, it is just so well done. I was very impressed with the quality of work. And again, for those folks that may be tuning in, we are sitting talking with Chase, who is the lead artist on Isolation issue number 3. And again, I was just blown away. I can't wait for people to get this in their hands. Is this going to be your first published comic, issue 3?
Yes, it will be my first published work.
How about that? So I got Delia with issue 1, and now
Yep.
I get you with issue 3. I'll tell you, brother, I can't draw a lick. Not a lick, Chase, but what I can do is I can work with really talented people and showcase their work, because that's my talent, I guess, because I can't draw. But Chase, you are a very talented guy. I cannot wait for people to get issue 3 in their hands. And again, for those folks that are tuning in, we have I think a couple of pages that Chase donated for our Kickstarter that are available on regiecollects.com. One of them is a double page spread that is it's amazing. It's a double page spread and is really fantastic. Chase, there was one page, I think it was page 17. I could only show one panel of page 17 because of everything that was happening. That one sold, and the person that bought it was like, this looks so much better in person. They were blown away when they got it. And I think they even said, I've been looking at this all day and it just really is amazing. That is my hope of what people will experience if they pick up the original art, if they pick up the issue. I want them to be blown away because you absolutely deliver. Jump in there.
Yeah, me too. I definitely hope people enjoy, the work and the story, and just because it's really, it was really interesting and it was so much fun to work on.
Good. We'll have to have you do other issues. Fingers crossed the Kickstarter is successful and we can keep this thing going. And that's why I appreciate you donating the artwork, right? Because it directly funds my ability to continue doing this. So I am very appreciative. Chase, where can people get a hold of you should they choose to follow you on the social media?
You can find me on Instagram at Drawn by Chase.
And I'll try to put that in the in this video when it goes live in the description so people can check you out. Chase, it has been an absolute pleasure. I am very thankful that we had our conversation many months ago with that other project that will never see the light of day.
Yes.
But I made you a commitment that I was going to find a way to work with you. And I'm glad that we were finally able to make it happen. So thank you.
Me too, man. Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's been my pleasure, brother. Be well. Okay.
All right. You too.
All right. So that is Chase. I remember sitting at my boys' soccer, having a conversation with Chase, basically doing a little bit of an interview with him as we were working on this other project. And unfortunately, that project will never see the light of day. But I am so pleased that we were able to work together to have him do issue 3, and fingers crossed that we can have him come back to do additional work on this. So for those folks that are tuning in a little bit late, we have already spoken a little bit about the Blade movie actually moving forward. They're going to start filming in about 10 weeks with Mahershala Ali. So I think that's a little bit of some good news. But I want to transition to talk a little bit about the Super Bowl, specifically the trailer that dropped during the Super Bowl. I watched the Flash trailer and I was a mix of emotions. As I watched this trailer. And I think a lot of people had mixed emotions about this trailer as well, right? Because on one hand, you have this really amazing trailer with multiple Batman, the introduction of the multiverse for DC. You have Zod, you have Supergirl, but then you have Ezra Miller, who has been accused of a lot of stuff. And I think a lot of people potentially are struggling with their excitement for this movie while simultaneously recognizing that Ezra Miller is a little bit of a scumbag, to put it politely. But to talk a little bit about this and to maybe help me to make sense of this, I wanted to invite my buddy Chuck. Chuck, it is good to see you, brother.
It's good to see you too, Reggie.
Chuck, Ezra Miller is Flash. Flash is awesome, but Ezra Miller is ungood.
Yeah.
How are you thinking about this trailer and movie, brother? How are you dealing with this?
I want to like this. I want good DC. Okay. I don't care who it is. Peacemaker, that's great. Black Adam. Well, we're not going to discuss that. I want good DC, and man, this looks good. I mean, it's got time travel. I'm a sucker for time travel stories, man. You throw in a couple of time travel twists and everything, dark futures, I'm in on it almost no matter who it is. But there's Ezra.
So Chuck, the list of people, the list of creative people that have committed heinous acts is a long list. Mm-hmm. Right? What I'm hearing you say is that you are essentially separating the artist from the art, and you are going to enjoy the art despite the artist. Is that what I'm hearing you say?
I'm going to try my hardest. That, you know, I like some people. I have sort of a sliding scale for level of how bad have you done. You know, did you just send out a stupid tweet? You know, a la James Gunn. Have you committed alleged crimes? Have you actually been convicted for crimes?
Yeah.
Or are you doing things that we just consider to be completely wrong?
Yeah.
And, you know, unfortunately, Ezra has decided to try tap dancing or flashing down to the latter end of the scale. And that makes it a lot harder because, you know, I want to take my kids. I mean, my kids want to go see it. I want to go see it, you know. But on the other hand, I don't really want to send a lot of money to DC and Warner Brothers saying, hey, you're promoting this guy as your prime hero. It's one thing if he's like the background character in J.K. Rowling movie or something who you can kind of forget is on screen.
Yep.
But you can't miss him in this one.
And you could miss him in the trailer. Chuck, I don't know how you said that tap dance in line with the straight face, brother. I don't know. I would have broken on that one. I would have broken. But Chuck, I want to get you to hold for a second. I want to get you a hold for a second because I want to introduce somebody else. I decided to do a panel. We are going to have a panel, and we are going to try to avoid chaos as we have this panel. Steve White, how are you doing, brother?
Excellent. I'm with you. Chuck.
Ooh,
I want to love DC again.
Steve, I can't have you on, brother. Your voice is so crisp and rich that I don't know if I can have you on the show again.
I'm sorry, Reggie.
Talk with me about your desire for wanting DC and your ability to separate artist from art. Talk about that.
Well, the cool thing here is, okay, I talked about this at work. A couple of my colleagues had an interesting take on this. We kind of thinking about, okay, you got a technical guy, so a bus mechanic. You know, he's really good at his job. He knows what he's doing. He's got his stuff in line, but his personal life is a mess. So I'm kind of looking at it like this way, okay? You've got your professional life, and then you've got your personal life. You know, people make mistakes. People, you know, do things. Ezra's, you know, he's trying. He's admitted to his mistakes. He's trying to get help. Is a person worth a second chance? So, you know, I'm approaching the movie this way, saying, look, the guy, he's trying. I want to love the movie for what it is, for the characters. He's a good actor, and he was great in Justice League. Yeah, I really loved the way he played the role. So, you know, separating his personal life from his professional life is fine.
But let's be clear. I don't think any of us are saying that what he has done or been accused of is acceptable. Like, I want to be clear about that. I don't think any of us are saying that. No. And I don't want to see people in the comments saying that we endorse this, that, or the other. No, it's all bad, right? I think what we are saying is that we are choosing to give people a second chance. We are choosing to set the artist aside for the moment and try to just enjoy the art, not an endorsement of his actions, which I think we all think are just not good. Chuck, let me go back to you. Wait a minute. First of all, Steve, where do you work that you're talking about comics at work? Because I want to work there. I want to work at a place where I can have that conversation. Chuck, I want to go back to you, brother. There are people that are saying that this is not actually a Flash movie. They're saying that this is a Batman movie, that this is about the two Bat people that we're seeing. Do you think that this is a Batman movie in disguise, or is it really going to be a Flash movie? Thoughts?
I think they're going to try to make it a Flash movie, but I will tell you that one of the highlights for the movie for me was when Danny Elfman's music kicked in. And, you know, I'm 18 years old again right there. And, you know, I'm expecting to see Jack Nicholson flash across the screen at some point. And that was just incredible. So, I mean, I think it is a Flash movie. I think they'd be better off, though, if it was a Batman movie, to be honest. I think they would be in better shape if it was a Batman movie, but it is not. It's a Flash movie, which is great. Yep. But they're certainly marketing the nostalgia factor a lot higher than they're marketing the Ezra factor.
Yep. Yep, no doubt about it. And I will have a follow-up question for you in a second, but I want to go to Steve first. Steve, as you take a step back from this, I heard you chuckle when Chuck was making his point here about the music and the nostalgia effect. As you take a step back and you look at this trailer for what it is, what are you most excited about? Is it the two Batmen, or is it something else that resonated with you most?
Well, yeah, is seeing Michael Keaton come back. Like he's the OG,
Yeah.
right? But I'm really excited to see Supergirl. I want to see Kara. I want to see what happens there, because that was a really cool scene with her in that dungeon. She's separated from the sun. She's got no powers. I want to find out what's going on with this whole thing. And she seems to be quite a dark character there. She was doing some bad stuff there. Superman would not be taking out people the way she was taking out people in those scenes there. Those guys didn't get up and walk away from that.
No, they didn't. I actually need to watch that trailer again, to be honest with you. I watched it maybe twice, but I want to run it back to get a different feel for it. But Chuck, I want to ask you a question. So it seemed like there was a lot in that trailer, right? We had Supergirl, we had two Batmen, we have some time travel stuff going on. Zod was in there. Do you think that they were trying to play up the nostalgia in an attempt maybe to defer or deflect our attention on Ezra? Do you think that they've shown everything there is to show, or that there's going to be additional reveals in this movie? Like, I want to understand, why was the trailer cut the way that it was cut in your mind?
Well, it seems like to me they're really trying to give sort of an olive branch to all the big fans of the Zack Snyder stuff, because it feels, I felt a lot of the greatest hits of Zack Snyder sort of being thrown in there without using Henry Cavill and without, reaching out to, Joe's demographic and putting in Gal Gadot, and, but it seemed like a lot of the other greatest hits were there. And, from what I've read about what they had planned for this movie, there was going to be a whole host of people that were going to show up and a whole host of tie-ins. And, maybe they've just now, whittled it down to Kara and, and Batfleck and, and one or two other things, as opposed to all the other things that supposedly were going to spin out of all of this.
Steve, what's your impression? Do you think that they've shown everything that there is to see, or do you think that there will be some additional reveals there? And was that trailer cut to get us to pay attention to that stuff and not to Ezra? I'm curious.
Yeah, I feel that they were pushing more of the Batman. All the other characters were more predominant than the Flash was. I mean, yes, there was enough scenes with him, but we don't know what they did to this movie. We don't know if they've cut it from the original. Maybe we'll know about that in the future. Maybe we won't. I don't know. Or what they're going to do with Ezra, if they're going to just cut him out altogether eventually at the end of this one. So I guess we're going to see what's going to happen there, right?
Because that's one of the big questions is, will they use this multiverse stuff to basically write him out of the script? I don't know what the future holds, to be honest with you. But what I will say is that we know that they spent a ton of money on this movie, right? Filming it, editing it. There were some reshoots. There was a lot of money invested into this. And a lot of people have been like, they should have just fired him. They should have just killed this movie. But they said from the very beginning that this movie was good. If you remember, the CEO of Discovery said this movie was good. And so I don't think that Gunn had a choice but to get on board with this, right? Everybody works for somebody. I mean, some of us, Steve, have more fun than other people at their jobs, but I think it was pretty clear this movie was going to happen. Chuck, do you want to respond to that? And then Steve, I'll go to you last.
Yeah, I think, you talk about sunk cost.
Yeah.
And I think this movie has just so much sunk cost in it that it's not like Batgirl where they could just politely pretend that it wasn't going to take place. Here they've done so much pre-hype marketing. It's so much talking about it. And it was so much out there that if you didn't show it, then you'd almost have more of a scandal, or as much of a scandal in a different way than you get with showing it. But I think one advantage to have right now is that, everyone seems kind of, disconnected in some ways with movies and movie hype right now. And so maybe they're hoping they can kind of slip this thing under and everyone just quietly forgot, the majority of what Ezra is alleged to have done.
He's been quiet.
And very quietly drop that and maybe not do too much press and maybe not do a big red carpet thing. And, just hope that it can go out there and, you know, get a good Rotten Tomatoes score and get a good word of mouth talk and recoup enough money back that everyone can pat themselves on the back and say, you know, they did the best job with the hand they got dealt.
Yeah, I don't think they should do a red carpet with Ezra. I just like let the movie speak for itself. But Steve, as we get ready to wrap up here, brother, what are your thoughts to Chuck's point there?
Yeah, it looks like DC is trying to mitigate. This was supposed to drop back in November, and they're just kind of letting it slide. You know, the mob is fickle, so they get bored and they move on when there's nothing in the headlines anymore. So it's been quiet, like you said. So great time to slip it in there. So I think they're strategically placing this, and like you guys said, they've spent a ton of money on this thing. They can't afford to not put it out there. Not like with the Batwoman or Batgirl movie. That one was just, you know, squashed.
They took a beating on that one. I mean, they're still taking a beating on that, right? If you had canceled another one, I mean, yeah, what he did or what he's done or what he's been accused of is all bad stuff. But two of those, I don't know. So, gentlemen, I want to thank both of you for coming on to help me to make sense of this roller coaster ride that I'm on, that people are on, as they're torn between what Ezra has done and who he is with the excitement of this movie. Because I want to see a good Flash movie as well, and I want to see DC find its footing and start putting out really good content. Steve, where can people get a hold of you on the social media should they choose to tune in? And then Chuck, I'll go to you next with the exact same question.
I'm on the old Instagram machine there at Steve HR Hooligan, and that's it.
There we go. Chuck.
I'm at Instagram at Chuck Enzi, and at YouTube at Terrific Comics and Pop Culture.
There we go. Gentlemen, thank you both. I appreciate you. Steve, that your wall back there, brother. There's some good books back there, man.
Just one
checking
wall.
it out. I have
There's
a feeling
walls.
Chuck's staring at your mad books over there on the left-hand side.
Oh, yeah.
I'll see you both later. Thank you.
Take care.
All right. So for those folks tuning in a little bit late, we just had Chuck and Steve on to talk a little bit about what is going on with the Flash trailer that dropped during the Super Bowl. I watched it a couple of times. I was honestly blown away. I was excited. I think DC fans are probably more excited than me because they probably picked up on more stuff than I was able to pick up on as a Marvel guy. But I was excited. I will tell you that. I'm looking forward to this movie dropping. I think it comes out like the 16th, June 16th or something like that. Fingers crossed. I mean, fingers crossed that people actually watch the movie and that the movie is actually good, because I think that DC, I think James Gunn, Peter Safran, the fans deserve good DC movies. So fingers crossed that they can make that magic happen. All right. So I do have one other guest that I want to bring on. I'm going to round out this evening by talking a little bit more about isolation. So we kicked off our Kickstarter at the beginning of this month. So far, we have raised about $3,000. And thank you to every single person that has picked up, any of the packages that we've offered, starting from, $6.99 or $5.99 all the way up. I want to thank every single person that has contributed. We have raised a nice chunk of money. We still have 15 days or whatever is left in this month, 28 total or something like that days. Fingers crossed that we can continue raising the funds. But I wanted to have a guest on to talk a little bit more about a new package that is presently available on regiecollects.com. And it's Doug. Doug, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing great, Reggie.
Doug, you look to be clean shaven, sir. What is going on?
I decided to get rid of the beard earlier today.
Okay.
It'll be back in a week. Don't worry about it.
Are you feeling aerodynamic and light as a feather as a result?
A little bit.
It's amazing what happens when you take off a little facial hair. You feel a certain kind of way, but it's a good look for you, brother. I mean, I would not have recognized you if you didn't have the hat on. I would have been completely thrown off if I didn't see the hat. Doug, talk with us about the new package that has been posted to regiecollects.com. I think it's package J. What is this package, sir?
So I wanted to do something to contribute to the Kickstarter for a lot of reasons. As the writer on the project, I thought something unique and interesting I could contribute was a copy of the original script from Isolation issue number 1. So what I've done is had the script printed, and it's bound like a regular script. Yeah, you've got the picture up there. I have one of them here.
Let me take you off. And there you go. Show it again.
There you go. And it's, you know, cardstock and bound, and it's the original script, so it doesn't have any of the changes that took place. So anybody who's read the comic, if you read the script, you can see what changed, what didn't. You'll get to know a couple of the names that maybe haven't been revealed yet. But it was my way of thanking people that are supporting the project. They're signed and numbered to 10 copies, and all of them are inscribed with a line from the very first page of the book, from the book of the Revelation of the Order. So
there we go.
That's it. That's something I wanted to do to contribute and help raise funds for isolation.
You mean beyond writing the script and you know,
yeah, that's it.
To the entire book, you wanted to do a little bit more. We are thankful for you, Doug. But there are 10 copies of this that are available. And what we've done is we've actually bundled this with a digital copy of Isolation issue number 3. So when you purchase this, I think I put like $25 on it or something like that. When you purchase this, not only do you get a bound copy of issue number 1 script with Doug's great signature on it, but you will also get at the appropriate time an advanced digital copy of Isolation issue number 3. So it's a little bit different than the other packages that we currently have up there. But fingers crossed people will support it. Doug has graciously donated not just the script, but the cost to print these things and to bind them up. And he took the time to actually inscribe them and all that kind of stuff. So fingers crossed that people are able to slide in there. And I'm reading some of the comments. So we definitely appreciate it, Doug. Fingers crossed that people will take advantage of this. Again, we have a little bit more time in the Kickstarter, so we'll see how it goes. But thank you for that. I don't know how was the wife dealing with the lack of facial hair there? How is she dealing with that? Is she comfortable with this?
She's used to it. I get rid of it every few weeks.
Okay, you refresh.
Just
I don't think
back.
I've ever seen you without facial hair. One copy just sold. Thank you. I just saw it up on my other screen here, so thank you for that. But again, there's some really great packages up there. Packages A through J, all different kinds of stuff, different price points. Fingers crossed that people support it. Doug, it is good to see you. One last question for you. Did you hear Chase's interview? Were you here for Chase?
No, I had a work meeting tonight, so I will catch it on the rewind once we get off.
He said you're wordy. Do you want to respond to that? The wordiness?
That's fair.
I may have agreed with him on his point, so I'm glad that you agree. But yeah,
you should talk to my wife on that.
Hey, brother, wives always know. But go back, watch the interview. Chase represented himself incredibly well. It was cool to have him on screen and be able to talk with him a little bit about, you know, his process of working from the original script all the way through the finished product. And it seems like he is very proud of what he has put together. And he also said that this is the very first publication that he will have. So we have Delia with issue 1 and Elena technically for issue 1, and now Chase for issue 3. So definitely some cool stuff, cool pieces of history right here.
Super talented guy, and like Delia, I think you'll see a lot more of Chase's work in the future. And he was wonderful to work with. Just a pleasure.
My hope is that all of these people go on to have some amazing careers. That is the hope, right? Because they're all very talented, all Kubert School graduates. Just they've put the time in. They put the effort in, and they're very good at their craft. And again, every single one of them draws better than me. So I'm a little envious of that, but it is, I mean, you're the writer and you draw better than me. So I think another one just sold. My watch is buzzing here. I think that's 3 that have sold. And the time that we've been talking, maybe we should stretch it out. Maybe we should talk
there
more.
We go.
Anyway, Doug, I'm gonna let you go, brother. It is good to see you.
Take care, Reggie.
All right. So the last thing that I want to talk about is the big payday. Sorry, I hit the wrong button there, Doug. My bad. The big payday that Robert Downey Jr. is attempting to collect. I released this earlier this week, I think, as a short or a reel or both. A lot of people were a lot of people had there was a mixed bag of people. There were a lot of people that were saying pay Robert Downey Jr. whatever he wants to bring him back. Others are saying no, don't pay him at all. It's not worth it. Others thought that they should not bring him back, not because of the money, but because of how his story ended in Endgame. And so there was a mixed bag of people's opinions on this thing, but the long story short, Robert Downey Jr. Has asked for $80 million. He has basically said, if you want me to come back, Marvel, the price will be $80 million. I think Robert Downey Jr. collected about $75 million for Endgame. So this is not necessarily out of the ballpark. Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron Man payday has jumped from $500,000 to a whopping $75 million for 2019's Avengers Endgame, including lucrative back-end deals. All told, this is not the best article. All told, Robert Downey Jr. has made, I think, $435 million, primarily through these lucrative back-end deals. He collected money up front, yes, but a lot of his money came from the back-end, I guess, proceeds from the movie performing and meeting certain milestones. That's how a lot of his money has been made, but $435 million. But he's asking for, again, he's asking for about $80 million to bring him back. And again, I don't know what's going to happen. I personally think that Robert Downey Jr. is a fantastic actor. He is worth every single penny, but I get the argument that people are making that his story arc has ended. But if you read the comics, you know that it doesn't end with his death. He actually is I think he's Jarvis at one point or something like that. So there are ways to make this magic happen. The actor, Jonathan Majors, that plays Kang the Conqueror, did not necessarily comment on Robert Downey Jr.'s payday. He did, however, comment on his talent. And he commented that he would love to stand across from Robert Downey Jr. on screen and act. And I think that that's a wonderful sign when an actor as talented as Jonathan Majors is like, hey, I want to see how I match up against Robert Downey Jr. because it is only through the competition, if you will, that you actually get better. And so I think, again, two fantastic actors. It would be really interesting to see if this ever comes to the full screen or the big screen. What's also really interesting is that there was an article that came out about Jonathan Majors earlier today, and it highlighted that he actually almost walked out of his initial conversation with Marvel. He had just graduated from school. He went to a casting conversation with Marvel, and they were just incredibly busy. And he was like, "Hey, you guys are just too busy for me. I'm going to leave." And he literally got up and was ready to walk out. And thankfully that did not happen because, as you all know, he went on to be a couple of years after that meeting, Kang, an older version of Kang, and I think it was Loki, and now is going to be essentially the big bad, playing multiple versions of Kang in the upcoming movies. And so it's really cool how stuff happens. And it was cool to hear that little backstory of what could have been, but thankfully wasn't. And again, we'll see whether these two gentlemen are ever on screen together acting in a Marvel movie. So the other big thing that came out this week, and I hit on this earlier, is that it appears that Marvel is going to start pumping their brakes. They're going to pump their brakes on the amount of content that they are putting out and the time between those projects to maybe focus on more quality versus quantity, and fingers crossed that is actually what is going to happen. All right, let me look at the chat real quick to see. I think he was a poor broke student back in the day and could have really benefited, but yeah, you just never know. I think he says that in the article it highlighted that he was raised a certain way, and he was raised to be on time, to be punctual, to show respect to people by being on time, and they weren't necessarily doing that. And he was like, hey, you guys are just too busy. I'm going to bounce. And again, I'm glad that it did not happen. I'm glad that he did not walk out because, you know, we wouldn't necessarily see how all that plays out right now. All right. I think I'm all caught up on the comments. What is that? For 80 million, they can have a universe where check it out. I will do it for 5 million. I will do it for 5 million. I am not as talented as Robert Downey Jr. is, but I come at a bargain price. That is my offer to Marvel. If you ever need me, I will do it for a fraction of what he actually wants to charge. All right. We are going to wrap this thing up. I want to thank you guys for hanging out with me tonight. I want to thank each and every one of my guests for coming on and doing a fantastic job of helping me to make sense of some things that are happening in the world of comics and collectibles. Huge shout out to Chase and also to Doug for their contributions to the Isolation Kickstarter. And thank you to everybody that has actually purchased one of the Kickstarter packages, including those folks that purchase things now. I am very appreciative. If you guys need to reach out to me for whatever reason, feel free to do so on Instagram at Regie Collects. Take care.
My body ate itself until it found its passion. They got fat while we starved, but it's power in fasting. Until I turned to ashes, I remained stoic through my rap heroics. I painted 10,000 poems, then I drank the potion of poetry and motion. I started choking, it was potent. My throat chakra downloaded, knowledge hungry. I was embarrassed I could ask my parents for money when I had a full tummy. So I asked for wisdom, better than crypto, sweeter than honey. I don't take it for granted, I don't wear capes and masks.